Okay, I'd like to call this regularly scheduled Gem County Recreation District meeting to order by the digital clock on the wall. I'm a minute early, but that's okay. Have you guys looked at the minutes from the previous meeting?
Yes, I did.
Okay, are there anything you'd like to change with those? Or
I see none. Do you see any changes?
No, I'm fine.
so then I would ask that we have a motion to accept those minutes as presented.
So moved.
Okay, Roger and Denise second.
I
Okay,
second that.
okay. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, the state treasurer's money pool. Money pool, a copy of that. Who does? Oh, it's right here. Okay, so we're all in the black still. So we have in the investment pool about 260,000, and in checking we have 92,000. So and some change, and so we're good. Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to pay the monthly bills for March of $31,461.37.
I second that.
Okay. Is there any discussion about those bills? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. Bills are paid. Director's report is the next item we're going to look at here, and we have a copy of that. I've read through it. Any questions you have of Abra about her report?
No.
Nope.
I do. The second item we have on there, the land purchase offer. Last time we took that under advisement, and then the offer was retracted. So our advice is nil and void because we got nothing to make a choice on. Okay. All righty. Then we have Scotty's report. We've had to change some games and practices around because our island was covered with water. All right, but I think things are going well. Okay, let's see, what's our next item here? Okay, unfinished business. And we're going to look at, Bill Slaybaugh is going to give us a presentation here. And so, Bill, you're on.
Thank you. Yeah. Good evening, directors and staff and public. We're going to take you back through how we got to where we are today and the decisions that need to be made this evening, one in particular. But we're going to go back in the slide presentation and bring everybody up to date, where we are and how we got here. And so it's a pool update, April 17th, 2019. Last winter, a year ago this winter, when they were getting ready to put in a new epoxy floor, they decided they need to see what condition the walls are in before they do the expense of that epoxy floor. And if they were, as they were taking off the waterproof board, it was just discovered that the walls and the wood were rotten. And one of my favorite pictures is, this is from the inside. And I'm sorry, this is kind of blurry because I think the lamp's going out on the projector, so hopefully it'll hang in there. But we will post this PowerPoint presentation up on the website so everybody get a chance to see it. But this is a hole that I saw from the inside, and I wondered, why is that little white piece of paper there? And I went outside, and this was a hole that went clear through the wall. And so the building was built with just 2x4 studs, plywood on the outside, or siding on the outside, and plywood on the inside with just the studs. And with the wet, dry, cold, hot, it's like a tree falls in the forest and it just rots. It's like a rotten log. The one saving grace was there's no insulation in the walls. Had there been insulation in the walls and it got wet, dry, we would have had a really bad mold problem long before now. But so we started looking at the option. Another problem with the building was the equipment room downstairs, hard to get into, not near big enough. And one of the things we discovered is we started looking at what it's going to take room size for a new equipment room. We were told it'd be 900 square feet just for the equipment room. And the existing pool, the whole building was about 1,100 square feet. And so that's why okay, I'm moving here. Okay, there we go. April 7th of last year, we gave the fire department the opportunity for training exercises. And they did several exercises in the morning and several in the afternoon. And then they burned the building. Okay. So our initial goals were, let's get the pools up and running for a limited season. You know, we wondered about the possibility of building the equipment room first and having outdoor showers. The health department was fine with that as long as we had portable toilets in the showers and those kind of things. For a couple of reasons. One, we could have a limited season. We wouldn't be able to open it up for just everybody to swim, but some of the special classes and those kind of things to go forth. And also need to keep water in the pools. If you don't keep water in the pools, there's possibility of a couple of things. The plaster gets shot, and the other thing is with the water table and Emmett, with an empty pool that size, it'll literally float it like a boat and break it up right out of the water. And so that was our initial goal. And as we kept getting into it and finding out what it's going to take for the pools themselves, of course, we weren't able to meet that goal. But we were going to evaluate the existing pools. What condition were they in? What building codes applied to both buildings and pools? Southwest District health requirements are very important. And then Americans with Disability Act requirements, handicap, rails, ramps, those kind of things. And we looked at several options for the new pool building on the existing site. Locate the new building on the north side between the parking lot and the pools. But we determined by the time we got a handicap ramp in that it was too narrow and we didn't have the square footage to do that. The second was locate the new building at the existing location. And then our third option was an L-shaped building on the northeast end because we wanted visibility and access from the parking lot. Just so people drive by and those kind of things, come on Locust, come around the corner, they're looking straight at the pool. We needed the equipment room at an optimal location because at least part of the equipment room has to be at a lower grade than the deck for the pumps and those kind of things. And of course, since we're already burned up for the pool deck and the pools, it was just a natural go downhill, and this is where to put it. So utilities come right into the equipment room, and then it's easy plumbing and those kind of things. And then we wanted to look at the potential for a future indoor pool. These are just some of the things that we determined as we did the programming. This is what we need in a new pool building. Entry office, check-in, snack bar with good visibility to the pool and the deck areas. That was very important because even as we looked at a lot of other pools and buildings, not very many of them have very good visibility. It was important to the staff and the board, you know, so if you're in certain areas, you can look out, you can see the pool, you can keep track of what's going on. And then boys, girls, dressing, shower, ADA restrooms, lockers, located as per health department regulations. We'll look more at that a little bit. And then a break room, training room, lockers, showers, restroom for lifeguards and staff. Existing covered patio will remain. At least that was the initial thing. And the building to be designed in keeping with enclosing the pool in the future. And so I put together a bubble diagram at that point that was just conceptual. And it showed the top wing there, the men's, boys, locker rooms, down towards the bottom. To the left there, the women, and then the central things in the location. and then for future expansion, and then future enclosed pool. And we'll talk about that more in a little while too. The Department of Health and Welfare requirements, IDAPA, that's the Idaho something or other, all the codes are IDAPA, it's chapter 16. It says the material used for walls, partitions, and furniture shall be such that it can be easily cleaned and will not be damaged by frequent hosing, wetting, or disinfection. And so you need tile, epoxy finishes, those kind of things, concrete floors. So you just go in and clean it and hose it down, and that includes all the furniture, all the stalls, those kind of things, the fixtures. The toilets will be wall mounted, so they don't have to clean behind them. They just do that cleaning. Floor shall be constructed of non-absorbent material with non-slip finishes and shall slope properly to located drains. That makes sense. And the dressing room shall be located near toilets and showers and should be adjacent to the locker room or check room. The layout of the dressing room shall be such that bathers on leaving the dressing room should pass the toilet and shower en route to the pool. And so they really tell you what the flow should be. And then on building materials, this is just to show you that we're thinking that the building be concrete masonry unit construction with open web steel joists. We'll talk about that a little bit more. And it'll comply with the design manual for the city of Emmett and Gem County. We have design standards at the city of Emmett and Gem County for commercial buildings and those kind of things where you just can't throw anything up. And I think when I first moved back to Emmett, right before they did the design standards, there was kind of a chartreuse or bright pink building right downtown. They painted the brick an ugly color. And I think that was the impetus for a lot of this. The 2015 International Building Code, the 2015 International Energy Code, and of course the Department of Health and Welfare requirements. And so at that point, over the last summer, we developed a floor plan. And I know that's hard to read, but the equipment room is the brown down the hill to the right, or to my right. And the central area is the check-in area. And so people come in, they check in. The boys from that way, they go to the right, down to the boys' men's locker rooms. The women go down to the others. They're on opposite ends that way. And it worked out really well. These are the conceptual drawings we did at the time. So we'd have a cover over the snack area, and then windows in that area where they can see the view or see the pools and what's going on as best as they can. And this would be the front entry. Metal roof, concrete masonry. It'd be split block walls. And this is in keeping with the design standards for Emmett, because on a commercial building, you have to have a base, that defines a base. And we got the darker split face block. Then you have to have a body and then a strong cap, as they say. And so then back to the future enclosed pool, as we were looking at that. And must not have the right touch on this mouse thing. Okay, there it goes. As soon as it's an indoor pool, it's a completely different thing than an outdoor pool. I was looking right here, and the last occupancy for this room, 77 people, because you take what kind of building it is, whether it's an office building or a school or something like that, and the International Building Code says, okay, is it an assembly building? Is it a factory? Those kind of things. And assembly buildings, of course, like churches, theaters, and those kind of things. As soon as you enclose and have an indoor pool, it becomes an assembly occupancy. Because now you don't have people standing around the pool outside, they're inside. And they have very strict requirements of how you determine what that maximum occupancy is. So you get 77 people in here, and you go, well, that's, yeah, if you put in chairs all over the place, that sounds like quite a few. And so with a swimming pool, you take the pool itself, and you take the square footage of the pool, divide it by 50, and that tells you how many occupants. Yeah. The rub is you take the deck space, which our current pools have a lot of deck space, you divide that by 15. And it's considered like seating, you know, because they can't just post a sign and say, okay, we're going to limit this to 400 people or 300 people, because there's no way to monitor that. And it's a life safety issue. And so it's not like zoning ordinances where you get a variance. This is the law. You've got to abide by it. Okay. And so if I first looked at, okay, what if we cover in the dark area everything except the building? And the building's designed so this would be simple to do. And so we take all the deck space minus the pools, and it's 9,230 square feet at 15 square feet per occupant. That's 615 occupants. You know, I don't think that ever happened, but they say that there's the potential there. Pool space of 5,056 square feet at 50 square foot per occupant. That's 101 occupants. So the total occupancy is 716. And so two things are determined by that occupancy: the number of toilets you have to have, and the number of urinals and those kind of things, you know, and also parking requirements. Parking requirements for indoor pools aren't addressed very well in most zoning ordinances, and it's not really addressed in ours. So you have to kind of work with the building officials and determine what it is, because they, you know, most communities don't have an indoor pool, and so they haven't got to put in their ordinance. So we need 144 parking spaces. Well, those numbers aren't going to happen because we don't have enough building for that many toilets and wouldn't want to make that many. So the next possibility was the white area is where we'd expand and add shower and restroom facilities, and then just cover the dark area again. And this gets feasible, and we'll leave this up to the board in a future date, working with the city of Emmett to see how feasible it is in the long run. But it is possible. And so here we get it down to 616 total occupancy. And so it's 15 women's toilets and 8 men's toilets. And it sounds like a lot, but that could be done in the expansion space that we have. And then one space per 5 occupants equals 124 parking spaces. And the question, what does that look like? And they take about an acre and a half, an acre and 3/4 of parking, additional parking. And so that gray area that wraps around the pool, that's what the parking would take. And so that would take an agreement of some kind with the city of Emmett, either on them donating more property, so the rec board pays for the parking, or if they're, you know, so, but it is possible. But you can see how much of the city park it takes up. I think city park's about 12 acres. And no, I think it's almost 10 acres. I heard it was 12, but when I looked it up, I think it was closer to 10. And so that parking arrangement would work really well, because as people come in off of John's down there at the bottom end, you know, then it becomes additional parking for the tennis courts as well on that end. And that's very common for indoor pools and tennis courts to share parking on a park. So at first we thought that an indoor pool on this site wouldn't even be a possibility, but at least this shows us what the possibility would be at a future date. And the building is designed so it could be have indoor pools in the future. So I thought I'd give you a couple of other options for, this is for an indoor pool for the structure, the enclosure around. This is the West Elmore Recreation District. This is going to be their new pool. and they use what's called a sprung structure. And it's an aluminum frame, and then it's a fabric layer over the top. And so, yeah, it looks like a tent, like a circus tent. It's going to work, but it would not meet the design standards for the city of Emmett. And then I looked into, okay, I wonder what the guarantee is on it, and what they call a cold climate, which is anytime it gets 20 degrees, below 20 degrees Fahrenheit, there's only a 15-year guarantee on the fabric in cold climates. And I believe it's 30 otherwise. And so the durability's in question. This is the inflatable structure in Twin Falls, and we'll let that speak for itself. And you know, they're just covering one pool, and I think they just inflate the structure in the winter, but I'm not really sure how that works. But again, it wouldn't meet the design standards, and I have questions about fire and safety and lots of things. Plus, off-gassing, you know what off-gassing is? That's that horrible smell you get. It's called volatile organic compounds. And we had trouble for years and years because of formaldehyde in the plywood, and it was off-gassing and making people sick. We had sick buildings. And I've been in some of these fabric and they're covered with Kevlar, you know, for durability and stuff. And say if you went up to the Tamarack and went into the tent type structures, you know, sometimes it can make your eyes water because the chemical smell is so strong. And I don't know if these do that or not, but I know my experience is. And if we went with a steel frame building for the pool enclosure, I just put up a couple examples to show, you know, the airiness, how we can make it look. You know, we get a really nice, good, durable building that looks nice. We can get it airy with lots of natural daylight and those kind of things. So that's why the wood buildings wouldn't work at all, because for a wood building, the code only lets you build so many square feet. And we're way beyond that for this type of building. And so we have to have what's called, a lot of the construction needs to be fire resistant, fireproof, concrete block. You can use steel. In some instances, the steel has to be wrapped with 2 layers of sheetrock to protect it and those kind of things. It'd probably still have to be fire sprinkled. But you wonder why you fire sprinkle over a pool. Well, we had an example this week where with Notre Dame, that it started in the spire and worked down. The blessing of that was it gave them time to get most of the stuff out before the fire made its way down and stuff started falling. And so, this is a cross section typically of what we have. You can see the equipment room, the brown area down on the lower level, which works good for the pumping and ply. And then we have concrete masonry units or concrete block walls on the outside. And then we use open web steel joists sloped in the ceiling. And what that does, because we have the girls are facing, locker rooms facing west, and the boys is facing south. And so we get, with clear story windows and skylights and solar tubes, we're just gonna daylight that, you know, so it's gonna be remarkable. And some of the walls, we're not gonna run clear to the ceiling. And so we're gonna draw that natural daylight all the way down in. And that'll save on electricity, because there'll be times of the day that probably wouldn't even have to turn on the lights in there, I would hope. And so concrete masonry unit walls, open web steel joists. I know it doesn't want to go to this next page, so you know what's on it. Okay, conceptual budget estimate. I've had the good blessing of working with Jeff Chapman from Wright Brothers Construction, who they did the library addition here in town. And Wright Brothers is also going to do the new pool over in Mount Home. And so we've been able to come to a budget estimate just for the building of $897,000. And that does not include pools and decks, pool equipment installation, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, etc., related to the pools. So we don't know what the pools themselves, what those numbers are yet, because we're not far enough along to know exactly what we need to do yet. So just for the building itself, turnkey for the building, other than equipment in the building, it's $897,000. So now we're going to back up and talk about the pools. About this time last year, we retained the engineering services of Thomas Anderson. He's a pool engineer with Water Design, Inc. in Salt Lake City. And he was recommended by pool builders and repairers. And he's been really good to work with. And then more recently, we got a report and assessment from Billy Scott. He's the operations manager for the pool company, which the pool company is worldwide. And Billy Scott grew up here in Emmett, and he has family still in Emmett here. And so Jeff Chapman, of course, he's in Emmett. He grew up in Emmett. So we've been blessed with these people of great quality and experience to be able to help us with this. And at this point, everything they're helping us with, they're doing it free of charge because they may or may not get the bid when it goes out. But because it's Emmett and because they're Emmett, they've just been really helpful for us. And so, okay, make sure that's the next one. Yeah, Tom Anderson came over and evaluated the pools and the equipment and wrote a very lengthy report related to both pools. The big pool we call the lap pool, the kids pool, eventually we're going to call it the wading pool. And mostly, if not all, it was a negative report. Some of the things on the lap pool, the flow rate and turnover rate does not meet current code. Pool only has 8 skimmers, code requires 10. Main drains not in compliance. The problem with the main drains is there's 2 of them, and there have to be 2, but they're in line with one another. So if one drain clogs, then both drains are no good. And so they have to have a separate flow. Does not have the required floor inlets. Main piping not in compliance, needs new vertical and deck markings. Lane lines and target markings are mislocated. And so the chances of ever having a swim competition over here without fixing that is zilch. Pool needs to be replastered, needs no diving markings. Demarcation line and ropes do not meet code and needs ADA compliant handrails. And then we'll move to the kids pool. And on the kids pool, the report delineated 22 deficiencies, including many cracks, and it led the engineer to conclude, with this plaster pool being 26 years old, it is nearing the end of its expected useful life, 30 to 35 years. Based on the extent of deficiencies outlined above and related work to be done, consideration should be given for a full replacement of this pool with a code-compliant pool system. And the decision was made to demolish the existing kids pool, and the board contracted with Water Design Inc. for the engineering of the new kids pool and the required upgrades for the lap pool. And we really had a good time. We had a conference call with Tom Anderson in Salt Lake City. He had sent some ideas of what the wading pool could be, and Shauna and Abra had some good ideas. And one of the things that we recognize as a need is you got a 4-foot deep minimum on the lap pool, and that's too deep for kids to learn how to swim. And the current existing kids pool was too shallow to learn how to swim. And so I think it was Shauna or Abra that came up with the idea on the left-hand side there, let's go 3 foot deep. And on the right-hand side, it slopes down gently, and so we don't have to have extra handicap access, but it meets all the requirements. And so they were throwing out ideas, and Tom Anderson was sketching them in Salt Lake City and emailing them back or texting one or the other. And so this design of a pool is an Emmett original. we've called it the bubble gum machine. We've come up with quite a few things, but it was just really neat to work with Tom Anderson because he worked really hard to get exactly what would work for Emmett and our needs. And so at that point, Water Inc. Incorporated, they finished their construction drawings, at least at 90% completion, 14 sheets of drawings and specifications. And they had finished theirs, and I had revised floor plans and exterior elevations, and was just about ready to send, probably within 3 or 4 days, to send the drawings to the mechanical, electrical, and structural engineers and say, let's get the full construction drawing set and then bid documents. And at that time, we thought that also, well, the timing is such that if we're going to explore other options, this is the time to do it. And so that's what we spent through October, November, December, January, February, looking at other options. Are there other sites? Are there other ways to do this? And after that really good exploration, the decision was made to proceed with the project of replacing the building and pools as required. Let's go with the preliminary plans as we had them. And I'm going to shoot this mouse here in a minute. Okay. And at that point, when the decision was made, I was looking at it and thinking, well, there's some things that would kind of put us future down the line, but I think it'd be important to put it in right now. And where that circle is at, we extended the top wing there on the boys' side, and about 8 feet was all we extended it, but it allowed us to put a family dressing room right off the checkout area, because it's very important. People appreciate those. And the rest of the restrooms and everything, they're all ADA compliant. We have see if I can find the mouse here. Each wing has an ADA compliant shower with bench and wheelchair. You have to have a 5-foot circle for a wheelchair, and anything that's ADA compliant. And so we have the ADA compliant shower. We have 1 private shower. We have 2 showers and a gang shower. And then, of course, we have the ADA toilets down here. And so somebody checks in, they get buzzed in. If it's a woman, they come down this way. Here's the locker area, dressing area, showers down here, and toilets over here. And then we're going to have outdoor showers right here. So there's a lot of kids, they're in a hurry. They wore their swimsuit to the pool. They come running through, and Sean and the lifeguards are telling them to slow down, and they go out. And then they yell at them, take your shower, and they get their shower. And they're right in the pool. Another reason we didn't go with the long pool building this direction is because we didn't want kids coming out down at this end, and they're at the deep end of the pool. Now, when I first started swimming in the pool, and it was brand new, the deep end was down here. And so we came running out of the pool. I was 6 years old or 5 years old. And all of a sudden the lifeguards are yelling, no, slow down, And of course we didn't. We just ran around and went to the other end of the pool. But a lot of good memories of swimming in the pool and growing up in Emmett. And so I revised the modifications of the floor plan to include the ADA family dressing room. That's going to be. And then we had to pull this wall back a little bit because we needed a certain clearance between the pools and the building right there. But so there were some modifications to the plan. And as I said, Billy Scott prepared an assessment evaluation and opinion. And he sent us some pictures in the report that this is what it looks like when you start remodeling. Because you got to tear up, the pipes now come out to the south of the pool and then run down between the 2 pools and then come back and go into the building. It's really best if you have them just under the pool and going back straight in. But we have to tear up some in the bottom to get the drains and skimmers and all kinds of stuff. And he just wanted us to know what a remodel looks like. And a remodel. And it would be very difficult to get anybody, a pool builder, to bid on a remodel like this because they just don't know what they're going to run into when they get into it. And then how do they guarantee it when it's all done and those kind of things. So it just becomes a mess. And so the pool company's recommendation, rebuild or remodel, they said, given the information provided in the report from Water Design Inc., coupled with the information obtained through discussions with facility staff, and so they talked with the staff, they talked to the engineer in Salt Lake City. It would be the pool company's recommendation to avoid attempting to remodel the current swimming pool structure and piping system. It is our opinion remodeling the current in place piping and structure would be cost prohibitive and likely point to a complete replacement of the overall structure. The condition of the current structure is integrity at locations that need severe attention, and then to include the work that would need to be done to add new piping, all new equipment, ADA compliance. The pool company recommends rebuilding the facility with the updates needed for compliance, as well as reestablishing the community's programming needs. And one thing about the pool, there's cracks in the big pool, and two of the cracks are just right across from one another. And so it seems to me that the ground has settled and the pool has buckled and will continue to buckle. And so it's disappointing, but this will give us the opportunity to get a facility that's going to last a long time. I'm going to turn it over to Shauna.
I can address the cracking issue. As most of you are aware, that we're here when we had the pool replastered and the big job we had done last time. We have had that crack on the sidewalls basically since probably, I'm going to say, around the 6th year that the pool was operating. That contractor assured us that they would be able to take that clear back down to the goodnight, work that stuff all out of there, and we would not have a crack again. Well, as we all know, that whole project didn't go real well, and the crack is still there. So even them taking it clear down to the goodnight, trying to fix that problem, it's still there. So like Bill said, there is some underlying issues there that go clear through that is causing that. So it would, besides turning the deep end out, we're also looking at that section, and it's up in the shallow end, that we would probably have to take that clear back down and address that with some backfill or something underneath of that. So it'd be more than just that deep end that would be getting addressed at that time. So, and we have done a lot, you know, over the years trying to keep that pool running. Every avenue we could take to try to make the repairs done, trying to save money. I did a lot of the repairs down there to save costs on that. I remember one year we had a 3-day scheduled, and the part in the little kids pool heater had gone out. And so I red flagged it in California to get here. Well, UPS doesn't deliver to Emmett on the weekends. And we were due to open at 1 o'clock, free day for all the kids. So I made a trip to Nampa, picked it up, brought it back, put it in, got it open, got it heated enough that the kids were able to swim that day. And because it's all copper and had not had a good time for the water to all go through, the kids that were all blonde were green because of the copper piping not having time to be. So we immediately ran and bought the shampoo to clarify the kids' hair, and we were handing it out freely as they came through, warning all the parents coming in with blonde-haired children, be sure to saturate their hair before you go to the pool. So, I mean, we've got a lot of good memories down there, but we have done a lot to try to keep it going as long as we possibly could. And I've been there since the first year. The first year I started out as the maintenance kind of cleanup person, and then moved into the supervisor's position. Has been a great experience working down there. I've had a lot of good kids go through down there, and you know, it provides a lot to the community. So we're really anxious to see it come back up and get operational again.
Yeah. Directors, if you have any questions, you can ask them.
I only have one question, and I think you alluded to you don't have a number for what the pool reconstruction
No, we don't have that number because we'll have to do at least some preliminary design, and all the equipment will have to be resized. One of the problems we have now with the existing pool is the pipes are undersized and the drains are undersized. And initially we hoping we could be grandfathered in. And so the pumps and things that were designed for that undersizing would handle the undersizing, but not, so there was a question of whether we, would be in compliance or not. And so now it's going to have to be all redesigned. And we can get numbers fairly quickly on what it's going to take to demolish the pool, the big pool, but to build the big pool, it'll take some preliminary engineering and those kind of things, and sizing of equipment and those kind of things. Then we can get a good number.
Yeah, we're using the current equipment that we have with piping sizes that we have. It does not meet the code for the turnover rate. That means the amount of time it takes to completely have all of the water in the pool run through the system, cleaned, and then put back in. And right now it's not meeting that with what we have available.
Bill, whatever you decide should be 6-inch pipe, make it 8, because they're gonna change it.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess.
Okay. So we're a little further along. I'd hope that we had the magic number of what it would cost, but we haven't got to that point yet. So, and also I would like to comment that this 897,000 has been well guarded. Nobody's let that slip out. So, okay. Do you have any other questions? Amber, do you have any questions? Okay. Okay. We'll give you time at the end here to ask Bill some questions if you would like to do that. And so we'll do that. We'll continue with our agenda. Okay, our next item on the agenda is our MAU.
No.
It isn't?
You still have the lap pool construction.
Yeah.
Motion.
Okay, okay.
What about it?
We need to decide tonight if we are going to move forward with pulling the whole pull out to redo, or if we're going to attempt a repair. So that's what we need to decide tonight as the board. I feel like with the information given that we need to move forward with pulling it out, because I don't think that to try to repair it is a very good decision.
Can we sell the water back to the city?
Pump it out of the park and water the park.
Okay.
It's great, like it
It's
is.
great. We'll get on it.
I think from my standpoint that the motion that we made to get it up and going included, but maybe it didn't, included the rebuild.
It should be, yeah. We need to rebuild the pool.
Because if it doesn't comply now and we just cover it up, it's not going to comply after it gets going. And so then you have to take it out at some point. And I think that adds to the cost. I'd rather do that now and eliminate that and have it up to where it might be good for maybe 10 years. So.
Well, I think why we put the action item on here is so that each step of the projects, the board gets an opportunity to be presented with information and vote on that specific thing. And so that the board doesn't ever feel that they've just blanket decided things before we were able to present as much information.
Okay, then I make a motion that we destroy the old pool and build a new one.
I second that.
Okay, let me get this down here, just do a whole little building. Okay. And if we have a motion by Roger and a second by Denise here. Okay, is there further discussion? Do we have further discussion? Okay, are you ready to vote? Okay, those in favor of this motion say aye. Aye. Okay, those opposed? Okay, the motion carries. So did I meet my agenda here? Thank you. All righty. So let's go to new business. That's the MOU. That's short for Mutual of Understanding with the County. The county has care of of the mowing and the watering and such, and we pay $20,000. We pay $20,000 a year, $10,000 every 6 months, and so that's something we've been doing. They provide portable toilet and some other things and personnel to maintain.
I make a motion, we sign the MOU with Jim County.
I second that.
Okay, a motion's been made to continue the MOU with Jim County. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, then we're going to vote, and those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, motion carries, and I've started the signature process, so Roger, we need yours, and then Denise, we need yours. You're on there, okay. Okay, we have a new item here, there's a trucking company, Radford Trucking, wants to use that portion of our land that was donated to us by Boise Cascade to park their trucks. I believe they haul the chips away, right? That's what they do. And
You wanna have Martin come up in that way?
okay, is he here? Okay, please come and address this.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Martin LaHog. I'm a co-owner and CEO of Bradford Trucking Company out of Baker City. I'll give you a brief history of our company. We've been in business for a little over 35 years, based in Baker. We have 3 separate divisions. One that hauls mobile medical units, like we used to haul the MRI unit into your hospital here before you purchased your own. And we have a dozen trucks that do that around the Northwest. Another division that hauls lumber and plywood. But the division we're talking about here hauls residuals from sawmills, shavings, chips, and sawdust. And when Woodgrain purchased this mill and tore it down and built a new one, we'd been working for them for doing a lot of stuff for years. So they had us contract to haul off their sawdust and chips. During the buildup of it, we had plenty of room to park our trucks on their facility, but it's gotten very congested. They're full running now. I'm sure you guys all know that, and it's gotten busy. So we really need to find a place to park some trucks, because when we started this, we were going to need about 10 drivers for this. So we hired 5 out of Baker, but we wanted 5 out of the local area too, which is what we have 5 drivers now out of Emmett and the surrounding area. But we need a place to park the trucks. They're right now parked on a short-term basis at Larry Sawyer's place. But we're looking for some place like your lot right next door would be ideal for what we're doing. So what we're looking at is possibly renting that. Enough space, we don't need all of it, but enough space to park 4 or 5 trucks, for the 4 or 5 drivers that are based out of Emmett. I've looked at it along with Abra. It's plenty big. The only thing, at some point, to start with, we may have to put some base in, possibly. So my proposal, and I'll give you a written proposal if you guys even like the looks of this at all. And I was thinking we could rent enough space there for like $300 a month would be my proposal to park these trucks. We don't need any buildings. We don't need anything, really, just a place to back them in and park them. And if it turned out we did need some base in there, maybe some dirt work so we could park the trucks, my proposal would be that we would pay for it. So it didn't cost you anything, and that would just go towards our first whatever rent until we broke even, and then we'd be paying you $300 a month rent. So that kind of is the short synopsis of what I'm looking to propose. If you like what you hear, I can give you a written detailed proposal and we can go from there. So if you have any questions of me.
Okay, I do. So you would come in there by the Patriot Center, is that where you?
Yes, that would, yeah, we couldn't, I mean, that seems like the most obvious place. There's a driveway next to where your paved parking lot is for the walkway. That would be plenty big for us to get our trucks in there.
Okay, so then would you go west of the parking lot that's currently there?
No, I think we would probably go south. I mean, that's a big piece of property. And to go west, that's towards the mill, if I'm getting my bearings right here. It's a lot more property than we would need. I'm thinking just that area to the south, kind of where those power poles are. It would be between the power poles and your paved area. That's kind of what I was thinking.
Shouldn't need too much space. There's more rocks in there and you can shake a stick at.
There is a lot of rocks in there. And I think there might be a decent base, but I think maybe just some gravel and compact it in there would make it nice for us to be able to get in and out.
Sure.
So you would cover up some puncture vine, is that?
Yeah, there is a little bit of that. And there's a little bit of, some old pipes and stuff like that, so, yeah, do whatever we needed to protect our equipment from getting damaged in there, so.
And of course, it wouldn't cause any potential, lots of kids go in and out to the island, to the games, to whatever. I mean, I just want to make sure that they're not going to be fast moving trucks. It's all going to be slow,
Oh, no,
right? Coming in and out.
because we're just going right next door.
As I
Yeah,
just
these
want to
are-
make sure, we just
Yeah.
want to make sure to keep the kids.
And these are large semis with 50, they're maxis, they call them, 53-foot trailers, biggest you can get on the road. But they just they go slow around there. So in the middle, they have a 5-mile-an-hour speed limit, so our drivers are used to that. So
Perfect.
Okay.
anything else you can think of? Okay.
What's kind of the time schedule?
Well, we're not real pressed. You probably all know Larry. I just met Larry a couple months ago, and he's really good with letting us stay there for as long as we need to, really. It's just that your piece of property, right next door, you can't hardly beat that, So that's kind of why your spot. One of my drivers actually brought me to you, so because he knew it was there, and he's from here. These drivers from here know all the. I grew up in Baker, but I kind of rely on my local drivers here to help me out. So
Send us
I
a
think,
proposal.
yep, send us a,
I will. If you're interested, I will send you a proposal. So
Okay, and work with Abra on that.
I will. I have been up to this point, and I'll give her a written proposal with this kind of an idea, and we'll see how it works. Like I say, I'm not real pressed for time, but I will get it to you this week, or next week. I was getting late this week. Okay, that
All right.
sounds good.
Very good.
Well, thank you for your time. I do appreciate it. So
All right, thank you.
maybe we can work something out.
thank you.
Anything else? Admin? Okay, I got your email. I'll get in touch with you.
Perfect.
Thank you.
This says action item. Do we need to do anything more than just that? Nope. Okay. Thank you for coming.
Okay. Okay, so does the board have any items? Do you have any items? Okay. Okay,
Oh, well. What, I don't know. Yes, we're on the input from the board. So, my question, I guess, is I've been thinking about our meeting times. We held a 4:30 meeting time, and we were obviously, for me, that works better. But we were held to a, we can't make the meeting because it's too early. And I don't know everybody who's here. Thank you for being here. Are you here because it was at 6? Or are you here because, so if it was at 4:30 and you wanted to be here, could you be here? Okay, so here's my question, board. Does it make a difference to have it at 6 o'clock? I don't see that.
No, I'm a 4:30 man.
okay, I am too.
So I don't know. I guess I would like to propose that we put it back to 4:30 then, because it didn't seem to make a difference in our attendance and the people who can make it or not.
Right.
Are we okay with that?
Aber will have to get a little more proficient because I work till 5:30.
Oh,
And it's really a simple process, but
But-
you just need to invest in the
So
camera.
as long as we're teachable and things like that, you're asking an awful lot.
Nah, monkey can do my job.
Okay. Oh, well, I doubt that.
A well-trained one, but.
Do we need a motion?
No.
And also, due to the fact that the school board, they've moved the school board meetings to the second Wednesday, I think that I would like to move our meeting permanently to the third Wednesday, because that way it gives everybody the option and the opportunity to go to the school board meeting as well as ours, and it's not a whole.
No, I just assumed we held it on the same night at the same time. That way they'll go to the school board meeting instead of coming to ours.
Well, okay then.
No, I don't want to do that, Roger.
So those are my two things that I have been thinking about.
Why did we put her on the board?
Because she's better looking than both of us.
Combined.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
That's all right with me. I don't.
So the third Wednesday would be okay. I don't like the second Wednesday, the second week of any month anyway, because it's like, for me, it's like taking a drink off a fire hose. So if I can take one of those away, that lightens my load.
does this
I
need
won't
to
be here next month. That's okay.
okay. Do we need a motion for that, do you think, or just this discussion?
I make a motion, we move the meeting to the third Wednesday of the month at 4:30 in the afternoon.
Okay, there's,
Well, this was just, we don't actually have action item next to it, so this was just discussion with an understanding that everyone will come the third Wednesday at 4:30.
And of course, it will be out there, but yes, so, okay, perfect, then. If
so are
there's
you
no-
withdrawing your motion then?
No. It could die a second. It could die, once it's seconded, it could die after that, but I'm not gonna withdraw that motion.
So do I hear a second?
Yes, I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second that we meet the third Wednesday of the month.
There's no motion. It's just an we didn't write action items. The state says you have to have an.
Oh,
action
never
item.
mind.
So it's just a discussion
It's
and
done.
everybody understands.
The state of
when
what?
the meeting is coming.
Okay. All right, so that's gonna be our understanding.
Then nothing can move until after May. We have to wait until the next Wednesday, next second Wednesday, because that's our meeting.
You can set the meeting without voting on it.
Okay,
Okay,
okay, so
then we're just gonna move it.
we're gonna move it.
Yeah.
And at 4:30.
Thank you
All right,
for hearing my words.
okay.
Okay,
Now we have a time for public input. So do we have anybody would like to address what we've talked about? And Denise is going to run that. You should have your name, 3 minutes.
there's no names.
Okay, there's no names.
So did anybody change their mind and want to have time to say anything?
Okay,
At
Excellent.
this rate, we can charge them $100 for 3 minutes. Come on.
Come on, it's a good
3 minutes,
fundraiser.
they can pay the rent on the.
Yeah. I make a motion, we adjourn the meeting.
I second that.
all right, we're out of here.
You didn't ask for
Thank you
call.
for coming.
The chairman can set the next meeting date.